Dr. Adrian Seven is a doctor of cosmetology from the National Institute of Cosmetology. He's the lead hair for DC Fashion Week and works on all kinds of reality shows. He's also done Patti LaBelle, Naomi Campbell, worked on BET, Good Morning America, and even the White House. As a small business specialist, he provides beauty consulting services and training at both McKenna Jordan Salon Bar in Maryland and RVM Salons in Los Angeles. Today, we're going to hear his story, how he got to where he is, and everything that we need to know. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes, and I am your host. And today I'm with Dr. Adrian Seven. How you doing today, Dr. Adrian Seven?
I am fine, and thank you for that fantastic introduction. I mean, like, I could not have asked for something better. You were fantastic. You just hit it spot on, and I'm so happy and grateful to be here with you all today. I'm fine, like good wine, better with age.
Amen. I love that. I just turned 40 this year, or last year, I guess last year, and I'm definitely starting to embrace that.
Yes, but welcome to 40. They say 40 is the new 20, especially
Amen.
with AI and all these new things we have supporting us. So I'm
Totally.
learning, you know what I mean? Let's embrace the newness of longevity because we now have new age technology that gives us the ability to be now relive a youthful life even at this time because our parents were different. So I'm like grateful to be in the number at this point in, history or the evolution of earthlings. you know,
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I want to give our listeners and viewers some context. So, we got a chance to do some press for DC Fashion Week, and we were standing outside of the changing room, asking the people that work there, saying, "Hey, if there are any beauty professionals out there, we'd love to do little interviews." And that's where we got to meet Dr. Adrian Seven. And I got your bio from your the people that you work with that helped set this up, and it is so extensive and amazing. And I just want to hear like how there's so much to you're doing. You're a doctor. I feel like normally I start with how'd you get started in the industry, but I kind of want to just get this part out of the way because I'm sure there's plenty of viewers and listeners wanting to know Dr. Adrian Seven. Would you tell us a little bit about what that means? Like, how did you become a doctor? What is your doctorate in? Tell us, anything that you can share on that topic.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for asking. And I got my doctorate through the National Beauty Coaches League Institute of Cosmetology, which was created by Madam C.J. Walker, which she instituted. If you've seen the movie, that convention still goes on today. And they created the National Beauty Coaches League. Out of that, created the National Institute of Cosmetology, which has a degree program where beauty professionals can matriculate and get professional degrees in the beauty industry. I was a guest instructor with KVL Products teaching because manufacturers teach at their conventions they have every year. I found out about the program and started teaching in the institute. And because I was teaching, I was able to start taking classes. Well, I have a bachelor's degree in mass communications. I went to college first. My parents told me to go to college. I got a degree, but I've always loved doing hair. So when I got into the Beauty Institute, because I had a degree, already a bachelor's degree, plus other experiences and classes I took, I was able to graduate with my master's. Madam C.J. Walker's granddaughter spoke at that graduation, and then I was able to take the doctoral classes online because when COVID happened, you can take the classes online, and it just so happened I got it. So it was almost like fell in my lap kind of thing, I wasn't looking for it. It just happened to me, so I just embraced it.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome because that is a legitimate accolade right there. So I don't can't I, it's crazy. I had a friend who's a salon owner, and he said he's always surprised at how much I know and how much I don't know. And something that I didn't know about was that you could get advanced degrees in cosmetology, and I think that that is fascinating. So, like in your studies, if someone wanted to, even if they weren't going for a doctorate, maybe they were just going for a lower level degree, but in cosmetology because they wanted to enhance themselves and whatever for whatever reason, like, are you learning? things like business and money and stuff like that? Because like what I'm seeing the cosmetology students learn, they're learning the state board stuff, which the state board really only is there for safety. I mean, schools try to teach more, but like at the end of the day, students don't graduate with the some of the foundational like concepts of business, customer service, financial literacy. Is that something that you're learning at this institute?
It's so funny you asked that. And yes, it is. And I know how you feel because I felt that way when I came on as a guest instructor. I saw all these people with white lab coats going to classes and getting their degrees. And I'm like, how come I never knew about this? And they would be at like the Bronner Brothers show with the booth set up, but they were a very prestigious organization. Most of the people that have degrees from this place are like the people that do the state board testing, people that are over the national education of, they're on education boards. So most of them are in the academia space and they own the buildings that we work in. Like a lot of them who have their doctorate own buildings in DC that other hairdressers work out of. And a lot of them are like 70, 80 years old. So it's an older organization who kind of, it's still around, but they're not as modernized as we are today. And so when I found out about it, I just started getting in, and you're taking classes like professional development. You're also taking like six-figure salary formula. You're also taking hair cutting. You're also taking like hair and scalp disorders. You're also taking classes like on how to build a business. You're also taking classes on boundaries. You're also taking classes on critical thinking. So there's a lot that
Nice.
goes with this. We read a lot of personal development. Like if you come and get to know these people and know me and everybody know, like we definitely study and earn these degrees, and these aren't no hereby fly. You're taking great courses, and it happens once a year. So you go from freshman classes aren't like sophomore classes, senior classes, and it's usually most people you go through 4 years. Now, I was fortunate enough because when I came in, they accepted my degrees, but there was a time before where if you already had a degree, you still had to matriculate back from freshman all the way. So you would have to wait 8 to 12 years to get your degree, but you are taking business classes, English classes, math classes, different things. And now that we're online, they're making it there, but it is a very prestigious older organization. So think of something your great grandmother would do or your grandparents did, and now their grandkids can kind of have it. But people today are in a different space. A client wouldn't really care if you have a doctorate or not. They just want a great haircut. However, when you're working for product companies and when you do, like I've trained for many hair companies, I've trained all around the world with them. And so these companies honor that because they know you can speak the language, you can go in and be a professional, you can be on time, you can be good attendance, you can have great attire, you can have a great attitude. Those are the things that matter. And when you get the big bucks, you can say, oh, it's easy to say $3,000 a day or $5,000 a day because you're bringing the heat.
Nice. I love that. Thank you so much for that. I talked to a lot of students and in cosmetology school, and this is totally what I messaged that I'm so happy that I asked you about this. Okay, so I'm gonna do some research and look into that, and I'm
And
very
I'll send you information for that and everything. And the good thing about it is you maybe can shed light on it because it's an older organization. So they're still on paper and pencil. And, they're getting up to times because a lot of people who are young like myself see the value in the organization, and we're here to preserve it and do those kind of things because it's so good. But if you look at DC board, a lot of those people are on there. If you look at national boards in the States, these are the people you're communicating with.
nice. That's very, very good information to know. Okay, so thank you for that. Let's jump into how did you get started in the industry? Did you like fall into it? Did you always know you wanted to work in the beauty industry?
I always knew. Since I was 3 years old, I used to color girls' hair in the coloring books. I My cousins gave me a mannequin that I practiced on. I would hide it because I grew up in the South and I'm a girlish boy, and my parents, they loved me unconditionally. They never, I never got in trouble for being, but they would always try to make me be more manly, hey, play with this, get this. And so I would always try to get with the girl things. And I always just loved the hair part of it. I never was a put the clothes on the doll baby. I just wanted to play with the hair. That's what's fascinating. I would color horses' hair, and I always did hair. I started charging people to do hair when I was 14. My parents say by the time I was 16, I made more money than both of them together because I would have a house full of people. Let me tell you, it was nothing. I remember one weekend, it was a college homecoming, and I made $1,800 in 2 days.
What?
Was blown away. Yes, doing hair. And so I was like, at that time, it was a lot of work. Oh my God, because I was charging $40 to do weaves and all of that. But so I've always loved it. But my parents were big on go to college, get a degree, do that kind of stuff. And I did that because I thought, like this would provide a better life. And 2 years after working into that, I'm like, I make more money doing hair. I was going home to do hair every 2 weeks because my corporate job wasn't even paying me that much. And I'm like, you know what? September 11th happened, and one of my aunts passed away at the Pentagon. Now, the funny story is, I was applying to beauty schools in Atlanta. I was living in Atlanta at that time, and I wanted to get away anyway. I was tired of a breakup, just wanted a new change. So I wanted to do new. I applied to beauty schools in Atlanta several times, did not hear back from them. I applied to beauty schools all over. Long story short, I applied to Dudley's in DC, got accepted. I applied in November, January, started going to beauty school, and I moved to DC to go to beauty school. And I told myself, now this is true. I said, I'm going to apply corporate strategies to hairdressing and do it big. So I was on the hunt to make a name for myself. I knew that, hey, I've already did that corporate stuff, and it ain't that. Let me do this and do it big. And the
Nice.
people I looked up to did not do great hair. Great hair is not the way. Great customer service and great attitude and great attendance is the way. I mean, great hair is the way. But when you look at some of these things, you look like they could have done their hair. But they need someone to do it to make it look right. So now cut and color and certain things they cannot do. And they can't do their own updos and they can't do their own hair. But they don't need the most elaborate work, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
I hear you. You don't have to. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
So I knew to let me start doing more what celebrity hair looked like, because I was one of those guys where, I did what was considered ghetto hairstyle. So I used to do finger waves, waterfalls. If you saw Baps, those are the kind of hairdos I used to do. So I was doing hairdos. And I realized my market would have to change in order for me to be a celebrity hairdresser, because they weren't wearing no waterfalls or finger waves or fashion hairdos. They were wearing what normal or generic or the masses were wearing. And I knew I had to switch up the game. I said, oh, let me start doing the boring hair.
Interesting. So you go to, well, let's go. I want to unpack something. So you end up going to school. You got out of school. Did you like work in a like? Would you work in a salon? Did you go straight out on your own? Did you do a boot?
No, 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 no. I had the great privilege of working in a salon. It was called Shaz's. My first day assistant, I made $55 in tips, and I knew I could do this. And
Nice.
so I assisted there. I assisted, got on my feet, and then after assisting for a while, I also um, while I was in beauty, so I went to beauty school part-time because I had to pay for school on my own. So I needed a full-time job. So I did Shazzy's part-time, and I worked at Macy's in the cosmetics department at the makeup counter. And I learned how to do makeup. So I was doing makeup and hair and going to school at the same time, like working as assistant, going to school and all of that. So I assisted, build up a clientele per se from assisting and accepting the walk-ins and the penny savers and the coupons, and I would read while I was not busy because I had to work on me. I would read books like The Seven Lively Sins, another book I read was, it was a book by Florence Scovel Skin called The Game of Life and How to Play It. So I would be reading books during the slow time. And next thing you know, I started building a clientele. My clientele started growing. And I wanted to be on a point where I was no longer on commission. I went and wanted to be on booth rent. So I wanted to be on booth rent. Me and the owner wasn't really seeing eye to eye. So I moved and went and got on booth rent. Got on booth rent, started working the booth rent, started growing that, and then started building a name for myself. While I was doing that, I was doing hair shows. Hair shows led to hair magazines, and hair magazines led to Patti LaBelle. I started being on tour with her. So during that time, I was still booth renting. I was on tour with Patti LaBelle. So I would work on the salons when I did not do her hair, those 2 years while I was touring, all of that. And then I went to do my class reunion because I was my high school's class president. So when it was time for our 10-year reunion, I wanted to be there with them. And so I was like, you know what? Okay, I've had good fun on the road. I invited one of my friends and we started sharing Patti LaBelle as a client, and he took over from there. And we just kind of, that's when I got introduced to the White House and other celebrity clients, because I was now in a point where I didn't have to leave to go make money, because that's what I got kind of tired of. It's fun in the beginning, but after a while, you're on the first flight out in the morning and you're coming home late at night. So it was always, and it was fun. I went to many places. I've gone to every country almost. I've been all around the world. I would not change it for the world. But there comes a time when, you grow. You're like, I need more. Like, this ain't enough money for me. This ain't enough life for me. Like, I need more. And I was able to find that outside. And so now I only do hair 3 days a week. You know what I mean? I've done every kind of hair around the.
Nice. That was very great. Okay, so just because we spend a lot of time talking with students and rising stylists, I want to ask a couple questions. So you how long did you work at the salon before you went independent into a booth rental?
I worked at the salon I would say about a year or two. And I would always encourage younger assistants and even stylists and people who have assistants. You should be assistant for about a year to two. And then after that, then you should be working on your own. And a stylist should be training a person to be able to leave in 2 years, like do clients with you. Let that person do with you. You know what I mean? If you train that person to work with you, you share the commission, and it's a win-win situation for everybody involved in the transaction. It's a win. You need to come with a plan for them to leave you too, like every 2 years. And so I assisted for about a year, and then after that, a year or two. And as the upcoming stylist, I would always say you need to have a very good support system, like live below your means, stay with your mom and dad, live with an uncle, have a roommate, share, be and do the bare minimum, live below your means, because I was staying with a cousin who allowed me to, sleep at our house while I got myself together. But I got on my feet, and when I got myself together I am. So you can't just be living with people or doing whatever and don't have a plan to get it together. Not saying that,
Totally.
I would say, and so that's what I did. You know what I mean? I just swallowed and sucked it up, but I had a plan to, hey, this is going to be my exit strategy because I need to make
And
some.
what would you attribute credit for? It sounds like your story sounds kind of like if you were to like ask for like the advice that is most hurt I give and hear the most is basically everything that you did. So like how did you know to like spend time under someone, go out on your own, get like continuously to grow yourself and read during downtime and like do spend the bare minimum while you build yourself. Like what would you attribute that knowing how to do that? Did you just come naturally or did someone in your life?
No, I would have to say my parents were a big part of that. My mom, she was always in my ear, always telling me, very supportive. I have a very supportive family, you know what I mean? And I must say, I stand on their shoulders, the shoulders of giants. My dad, he always paved the way. My mom, she's always there. So my parents were always in my ear. And my mom told me I was an awesome kid, and I believed her. So I always knew to like read good books and all of that. My mom had a rule: if you brought a C home, you're in trouble. So I knew to read and do my work, and also I attribute it to being gay. As an openly gay man or a very flamboyant boy in high school and grade school, if I hung with the smart kids, they wouldn't bother me. So I hung out with the smart kids because they didn't tease me, they didn't bother me, they accepted me, and I learned a lot. And so I would read books. I remember being the editor of my high school newspaper, and I had a beard in high school, like a girlfriend, so my parents would think I'm not gay, you know what I mean? So Chantel would be in like sociology classes, and she would introduce me to books. And I started collecting quote books and all of that. I would read Iyanla Vanzant in high school, you know what I mean? And so I just had a natural attraction to progress and find the truth for myself, because I knew adults had it effed up, especially when I was at kindergarten. They're going to tell me that nonfiction means truth and fiction means make believe. And I'm like, well, I thought it goes the other way. It was so confusing to me. I was like, they crazy. And I just knew there was some other truth out there. And really that's within. It's internal work, reading good books, working on yourself, being the best you, finding people that you look up to, modeling their behavior, going after that and working on you every day, subscribing to whoever, a favorite podcaster, a favorite quote of the day, something, find these things out here, The Secret, The Game of Life, How to Play. And I work with a great team now. I work with a fantastic team. We read books of the month. We're doing all these fantastic things. So that helps me too. You know what I mean? But it's really about having programs like this, the Hairdresser Strong, so that you can plug in, get information that's going to help you live a better life. That's what it's about. I'm not the only one. You're inviting great guests who are pouring into this community, and that's what it's about, having avenues like this. You know what I mean? Gino Stampora says it, all the greats, who are out here in this beauty world. And so plug in and listen to these podcasts and make sure every day you get 1% better.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, so let's go into the celebrity stuff. So, and like, because you've been all over the TV, and like I'm looking at your bio right now, and it's pretty awesome. So you said earlier that Patti LaBelle was the first celebrity. Is that right? That you worked
Yeah, the
with?
first big one. She was the first like big one. Our school used to do, I went to Dudley, and our school used to do like BET Gospel and different local
Okay.
network programs. So we would do celebrities as they came in, but we didn't get to go on tour with them or live with them and work with them and be on their entourage. That was just, they came, we did them and hit it and quit it. With her, it was tours, special events. There were Martha Stewart show, different television shows that she would be on. Hair and makeup is different than, let's say, for instance, the band or anybody else, because hair and makeup is needed for every event. The band is only needed for the concerts. So we would do events that weren't even concerts. I mean, concerts are great because you get a per diem and you get all these benefits, and I love concerts. But, there are also public appearances and everything else that people want to see a celebrity and they need their hair and makeup done. And especially people in that time. We're in a different era now where, social media, people can, celebrity styling during, I would say, the early 2000s and the mid 2000s are different now because, and like, because people now have social media and people now have different budgets. Some people don't have it in their budget to have somebody touring with them. And if you're in celebrity styling or if you're looking for that, I would highly encourage you to get recording artists and people that, have those kind of budgets, because an actress can't sell out shows, but an entertainer, you know what I mean? So seek out entertainers if you really want to go that route, you know what I mean? Because they're the ones who, and it's really about building good relationships, you know what I mean? Like, you want to do hair, you want to know how to keep your mouth closed, you don't want to ask a bunch of questions, you don't want to pry into their business, you want to see and don't see, hear and don't hear. You're here to do hair. I don't care if they want you to do it on the floor. Where are the plugs? And people will book you and continue to keep you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's so good. Okay, so would you say that if someone wanted if someone wanted to get into celebrity uh working with celebrities, would you say that being able to do both makeup and hair is hugely important, or can you just do one or the other?
I strongly think that you should do one and have an edge on the other.
Okay.
Because I had an agent who told me, Seven, when I was working with Patti LaBelle and I wanted to do both hair and makeup, he was like, you need to pick one or the other. You can't be the master of both. And I wanted to prove him wrong. So I went on this journey to do that. But when you got to carry all this stuff, and you got to have all this stuff, and you got to run from one and run to the next, you like, somebody else could have had that time while I rest.
Right.
and or whatever, and then you really don't master it all. I'm really not that great of a makeup artist. I mean, I can do good makeup on a pretty girl and I can make you look good and all of that, but there are certain things that I just really cannot do. I did counter makeup, I did fashion makeup, and I did different things for time. So I'm like, you know what, I just decided to go and do hair. And I think as you mature as a beauty professional, in the beginning, try it all. You need to find out what it is that you love. But once you got it together after about 2 or 3 years, you need to pick a niche because people pay for niche. I do nothing but sew-ins. That's what I market. I promote hair extensions and I get paid very well to do them. You know what I mean? Not saying that, but, and I know other people that do. So at a certain point in the game, you want to be known for something because one thing about the one trick pony is you know which trick you coming to see. Like you ain't guessing. It ain't can you. And everybody that says they can do it all, I'm like, I don't see you doing that well over the girl that is the specialist. You're not out coloring this girl because you're doing too much. No matter how you say you do decent color, you do nice color, you're doing a nice haircut, it's given, but it's not like that girl who's mastering it because she just focused on that. We only got 24 hours in a day. How you got the time to be great when you're doing some money other things?
That's so good. Thank you for that. That was very good. So, just to clarify, because well, just to clarify, make sure you're really good at one thing, but it would help if you at least had some sort of basic
Yes,
knowledge
yes,
about
yes,
the
yes,
other.
yes.
Okay.
And also to clarify, as you grow in your career, in the beginning, okay, you needed to do it all. Get familiar with what it is like. In the intermediate phase, okay, master the things. Pick a few, 4, 5, 6 that you're going to get. But when you're ready to get in the high premium overtime, want to work less, 2 to 3 days a week, you're going to need to be in a niche because women with money know they want a specialty. When they're going to Gucci, they're getting a specialty designed bag. And when they're coming to you, they're getting a specialty design weave, color, cut, something that's built to last. They know it's going to last them a little while. It's going to be good to go. That's when you get into the big league. But as you grow your career in the beginning, no, you got to figure it out. You're going to
That's
have
so
to mess
good.
up 100 heads.
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, you're gonna have to mess up 100 heads. I like that number. Okay, this is so good. So, this has been a great conversation so
I
far.
think
I'm curious to know, like, just if you want to do like a high level, because we mentioned a number of celebrities. If you want to give like a high level, like, because I mean, based on your story, it sounds like getting into doing certain things and having certain experiences and having certain relationships leads to other opportunity. I mean, I'm picking that up from what you're saying. You're not saying that. I'm just gathering that from what you're saying. Would you tell us a little bit about like that process? Like one thing leads to another. You don't have to give them all of them because there's so many, but maybe you give a couple of things that kind of one thing led to another, if that's how it works. And if not, tell us a little bit about how you landed some of these gigs.
I would say, yes, it definitely starts with building relationships. I started doing hair shows with Glenn Jackson, who also has an agency and does a lot of relationships. So Glenn Jackson put me in Hair Idol. When I won Hair Idol, Ted Gibson Salon was coming to DC. And when they came to DC, Hair Idol gave us $50,000 and $10,000 to give to our favorite charity. So it was a big, huge
Wow.
deal by Sensational, who by Hair Zone and Sensational. So they own the companies, the hair companies like Outre and another hair company in the store. A lot of people know them. So long story short, Glenn Jackson introduced me to them. I won the award. Ted Gibson Salon was coming to DC, and the owner say, "Hey, Ted is coming to DC. Would you mind going?" I didn't know who Ted was, but my friend, when I asked him because he worked for Aveda, he was like, "Oh, if you work with Ted, you'll definitely make some money." So I'm like, "Oh, well, let me go over here because this is a upscale salon." So I went, got a master stylist. There, I was introduced to um, Valerie Jarrett, who was the senior advisor to President Obama. So I got to work with her in the White House for about 14 years. I mean, it was 3 and 4 times a week
That's
because
awesome.
whenever they had press. And so that introduced me to the US Attorney General who got I started working for her and all of that. And that's how I got it working for Naomi Campbell, because Ted Gibson referred her, their agency referred her, they referred Lupita. Now, this is a story you have to hear, because I don't watch TV. I don't know my celebrity clients. When they call, I'm just here to service them. I've gotten good at staying out of the way.
Okay.
So I get the call from Lupita, Rashida Jones' publicist, that America Ferrera is going to be in town, and would I be able to do her hair? Now, I thought America Ferrera was an event. I did not know that was a person, because I'm thinking, oh, Rashida's coming to get her hair done. So I go to the hotel, knock on the door. America Ferrera answers, and I'm like, hey, is Rashida here? And she's like, huh? So I have to go look at the email. I Google her, and I'm like, oh, this is the lady from Ugly Betty. I had no idea. But I did her hair for that. But that was a Ted Gibson referral. So a lot of, I built a great relationship with him too. And he taught me a lot. And one of the things, he humbled me and taught me that, like, if you're a celebrity hairstylist or a top hairdresser in your salon, you need to make sure that everybody else is eating too. Like, you can't be the top and nobody else. It's we all rise together. And he was like, when I'm successful, you're successful. When you're successful, I'm successful. And it really taught me about everything on the ship matters. You know what I mean? And it really was, I learned a lot. And he would just send clients my way. He sent Lupita my way. You know what I mean? They would just be like, hey, Adrian, Naomi Campbell's in town. Can you do her? You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, cool, yes. And
That's
so,
incredible. What an incredible story. Oh my gosh.
so
It sounds like that is very exciting, very, very exciting times. And so I always have to ask this for anybody who's worked in the White House, what is that like? What is that experience like? We're in DC. Everybody who's tuning in, you either know that, and if it's your first time now, you know it. But and Dr. Adrin Seven is also DC DM. Where are you? Are you in DC proper?
I
Or?
live in DC proper. Yes,
Yeah.
I live in DC.
Okay. Yeah. So the
Northwest,
DC,
yes.
and we're in DC also. So White House is a pretty big deal everywhere, but definitely here. So
Yes.
how did you tell us about that?
So, it's really my second run into the White House, because the first time, even though I didn't go there, I did Mikhail Salahi for her event that she had at the White House. She was a client of mine when she was on DC Housewives. I was her hairdresser. So I got to tell you that story too, because
Yes, I want to hear that story.
I'll tell you, yes. So long story short, the second time around, when I got the gig for Valerie Jarrett, what happened was, so when I first moved to DC, my aunt took me to get a clearance because she worked for the government. So she had took me as soon as I land. I have an uncle and a wife, his wife lives here. She took me to like start getting clearance. So when I started working for Valerie Jarrett, who is the senior advisor to the president, I already had a clearance, and I could now be cleared to go and service her on location. So by servicing her on location, it gave me access to so many things. I also had a relationship with the editor of Essence, Pamela Edwards, who also knew Ted Gibson. So Ted worked that where we would all know each other. So long story short, they were doing a spread for Essence magazine, because when Obama was in town, there were a lot of different minorities who were in power and in office. So they did a spread in the magazine. And so they hired me and my team. So I called people that I work with, DC Fashion Week, friends of mine, my assistants, and we did that photo shoot at the White House that was like all of these photos. So we would also do different things. And then they would invite me to things. I never asked for any favors. I got to go to the Christmas dinners I went to when how when they signed the deal where gays can get married. I went to
Yep.
that at the White House, and the person in the back was making the noise. I went through all of that. So, and I would never ask for anything. They would just give them to me. Hey, Adrian, you want to go to this? Hey, Adrian, you want to go to this? Hey, and I always just served her like any other celebrity. And I always believe the person you have to be most professional to is yourself. I don't ask questions. I mean, I talk about basic things. I don't talk politics. I don't care. That's not my thing. I mean, I even work for Omarosa, who's a very dear friend of mine. We've grown over years. I've done book tour stuff with her, but I don't, who you vote for and who you work for. I believe as a beauty professional, this is where we get the one out. We don't need to be involved in that. Like, as beauty professionals, how can you serve the masses when you all jumbled up into it? Just stay out of the way. Vote who you vote for, do your thing, but don't get in the mix, because that limits who you serve. You only serve
Amen.
one half of the population. If you stick
Yep.
to shot. If you stay out the way, you get to serve them all. And I'm like,
Mhm.
listen, that doesn't matter. We're talking about your family. I don't get in their occupation, recreation, motivation stuff, or, life. I sell me, what I've been doing, taking classes. Yes, here to serve, listen, be pleasant. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you get the jobs and get it done and get it quick. Like, you're here to serve. Like, and when you
Mhm.
serve on this level, you also have to realize we're serving the masses. So you got to be out the way. You want to be a professional. It's really
Um,
about professional hairdressing.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. You're nailing it, man. I love this. This is so good. It's like I don't even there are questions I usually ask. I don't even have to ask because you're like delivering. This is amazing. Okay, so since I mean this has been a great conversation and I greatly appreciate your time. But as we come to the end of our conversation, I always like to ask a number of things. First thing I want to ask you is, what are you doing now? What are you up to right now? What can we expect to like see from you? And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I would like you to, if you have any last words of advice or wisdom for somebody that's just starting, or maybe someone that's in the industry but wants to advance themselves.
Okay. So what can you expect from me now? I'm working on a national expansion of, I'm working with doing marketing and promotions on the side, helping small businesses, families, individuals, with a great paying company. My friend introduced it to me. Really great stuff that I'm doing on the side. So I can introduce them, get them some information about that because we'd be here all day. You know what I mean? And then I also would say, and I've been working by coastal. Luckily, I've been a fortunate where, I mean, I'm going to be honest, the key to wealth right now is multiple streams of income. I got introduced to it and I'm like, you know what? I need something that I can do with leverage. So now I do that on the side and I do hair on the side. And then I live and just travel. I work in LA, 8 days a week out of the month. So I go to LA and I work in the salon 3 days while I'm there. And the other 5 days, I just work from home or go to the beach, go hiking, do whatever, but I can work from my phone. So I may stop on the mountaintop, work and do that. So that's what you can expect is me expanding that, working with my team and also doing hair while I'm there. When I'm in LA, I do hair extensions at RVM, which is fantastic. They have 5 salons on one block. Can you imagine an owner with 5 salons on one block? Listen,
Wow.
we're on Wilshire. It's a very historic district. Like there are a lot of hairdressers. Like it's so great. And I mean, I work there and I assist too. So I'm like, if I don't have clients, I don't mind assisting people. I've done everything. I don't mind. And I learn from them, especially more hair extension skills. So I do that. And when I'm at McKenna Jordan, which is state of the art, it is DMV finest. I mean, and I love commission. As a beauty professional, I've owned a salon, I've worked in a salon, and I've done all these things. And I believe commission is the best because you get to pay more, you don't have to worry about all the overhead, and it's a beautiful scene. So that's what I would recommend. So if you're an up and coming or new beauty professional, I would encourage you to find other beauty professionals doing what you're doing who you look up to. Find role models, people that you look up to, mimic them, model them, work on yourself, read good books, study, become the best version of you, subscribe to beauty professional magazines, follow their pages, go to other people that are doing professional development, work on multiple streams. That's what wealth is about. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Having more than one stream of income. I've learned the hard way, like, you can't just depend on one thing. You got to have more. And so I would encourage you that and really just have fun. You came to enjoy life, decide what it is, create a purpose, start today. I know my purpose is to enjoy life, entertaining, edifying, education, empowering, enhancing the lives of others while doing it and being in a prosperous environment. So I don't want to, but I want to enjoy life first. So make sure while you go and decide what it is you want to do from here on out, you put enjoy first. I want to enjoy life and let it be whatever you want to be. But I would say follow other great hairdressers and tune into the Hairdresser Strong. He's going to have
Amen.
another guest that's doing it just as good as me, even better. And you're going to learn from them and continue to plug in, and God will provide a way. You're already on a great journey. And remember, you're in the best industry. The number one product whenever there's a recession is lipstick. So people are going to want to see you.
That's so good. Thank you so much
You're more
for,
than welcome.
yes, thank you. It's been an incredible experience for me, and I'm sure you brought value to our listeners and viewers. So thank you again so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.